Are you looking for strategies to take control of your finances? If you are, we've got some really easy steps that you can do right now to take control of your finances and your financial future. So everybody is struggling, and a lot of people are really trying to get a hold of their debt and figure out how to move forward. And there's a lot of stuff out there saying that you can't move forward. That if you can't change your budget, you can't do these little things. But we are frugal homesteaders.
Yeah.
And if you're new to our channel, I'm Julia.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that work every day to merge homesteading and frugality, and we're the Canny Couple. And one of the things we focus on is frugality in all aspects of our life.
Yes.
On the homestead and every day.
And I know it can be tough, but you can do this.
You can. You can. We can. We are proof.
Right.
We are 100% debt free, and we're talking over $250,000, right?
Yeah, I guess over our lifetime. Yeah.
Over our time together.
What time together? Right.
Our time together.
Right.
And that included not just our house, that included a student loan, vehicles, everything. So we understand what it's like to be in debt and to work to get out of it, and to work really hard to get out of it. And we are now on our 100% debt-free living journey. That is how we've chosen to live our life. And we have some really easy steps for you that will help you take control of your finances. So the first one, super easy. But when I listen to financial podcasts, I'm shocked that people don't know this, and it's know your income.
Yes, and you would think that most people know their income.
Like off the top of your head.
Or at least what you bring home each week.
Yes, or every other week.
Right. You know, I know some of it can fluctuate, but, you know, I used to work at a grocery store there for a long time, see people bringing their checks in. They were pretty consistent. You know, when this person came in, how much it was going to be, because you'd see them in line, and you would start getting that money out, knowing it's somewhere around that.
But today's world of side hustles, you know, self-business, you might have a regular income. So if you have an irregular income, look back the past year. We would probably go back 2 years. The way we are.
Right, but a year minimum if you can't do that.
And get your lowest month.
Well, if you had to do 3 months, possible, but you would be better off if you look back.
I'm talking about look at a whole year and pick the income you're taking for the lowest month. So if throughout the entire year, say 1 month you're making $5,000, 1 month you're making $8,000, 1 month you're making $10,000, go with that $5,000 amount. But if you look at a year, it's going to give you an average, and it's going to help you with further steps in life, like building a budget and doing all these things you need to do. Overtime is a bonus. Do not include that in your regular income.
No.
Because they could turn overtime off at any time. A company could be stretched thin. You might think of it as being consistent for years and years and years. I would never include overtime as my income.
Right. And a lot of it now is, you know, some states or the government is putting in things. If you're over this amount of pay, they don't have to pay you overtime. So you've got to sort of look at that perspective as well to say, oh, well, you know, if I do work overtime, I'm never going to get overtime pay here.
Absolutely. And bonuses are bonus, so don't count on getting a bonus.
Never count on get a bonus.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's been consistent for 10 years, 15 years, you have to treat this money as bonus money, because it's not part of your regular income. Yes, you're probably going to get it, most likely, and then you'll have a plan for that. We'll talk about that in a minute. You'll have a plan for that extra income that you're going to get. But I wouldn't include it in my monthly or annual expenses.
No, because you can't count on that to pay your house, for example, because let's say that year something happens, they don't give out bonuses. You're in trouble then. So you've got to look at it from a perspective of not counting that.
Absolutely. Know your expenses. This is a huge one. You have to know your set expenses. What are you paying for mortgage? What are you paying for all of those set expenses?
Electricity, water.
All of these things.
Anything like that. You have to know what you are paying per month. You know, A lot of it might be consistent per month, but you still have to know what that is.
And your irregular spending, your grocery,
Now,
you're eating out, all of these things.
That's where it gets harder to track, and it does.
So go back and look at a month of expenses. Go back and look at, we would probably say 3 months of expenses.
3 months of expenses because it fluctuates.
Yes.
Well, for us, for example, groceries. If there's a sale, it might be more this month compared to if there isn't a sale when it's less, because we don't buy if it isn't on sale.
Or like I'm taking a few shortcuts this week, which are going to cause us a little bit more because it's Mother's Day and I don't want to cook on Mother's Day. And Aaron's like, okay, cool, whatever. This is still going to be cheaper than going out to eat.
Right.
So I'm taking a few shortcuts so I don't have to do a lot of extra work. And that's okay. We've got it built into our budget. All of these things. And not only that, you're also going to notice your spending habits. 1 month is good. But the more you look at it, the more you're going to look like, why am I spending $100 every 2 weeks on, this really weird item or something? Like, I'm thinking Amazon purchases, like, what are you buying every week on Amazon? Or, Audible books, because they're expensive if you don't have credits.
Right.
They're like $30, $40, some of them, if you don't have credits. So you just make sure you're tracking those and you're seeing your spending habits, because once you know your spending habits and you know what you're spending your money on, you can actually start correcting. And, well, not correcting, you can start changing
your habits.
And you might feel like it's a correction, like you're like, well, I don't need to spend, $1,000 every 2 months on Amazon. I don't need to spend $100 every 2 months on Amazon.
Right.
You just kind of start to notice what your habits are. If you're not keeping up with them, you're not going to realize that you're doing it. It's just our nature. It's not in front of us. We're not seeing it. We're just paying the bills. So, next one. Make a plan and set goals. This is so important. This is so, so important.
And this one has helped us stay on track.
It has.
A lot more since we started setting those goals.
Absolutely, especially financially. So we've always had great big goals, great big dreams. But now we talk about those goals every single week.
And it keeps us honest.
It does. So honest. We know exactly where we are. We know how much we're spending. And I will say, since I'm now, once we became debt free, we were able to bring me home full time, which cut our income down. But we are doing better on staying on track with our budget than we have ever stayed before, because we are constant contact and we're constantly pushing towards our goals. So they could be retirement goals, they could be debt payoff goals, they could be anything. Our big goal last year, we started it in July, was to pay off 6 figures worth of house debt by the end of the year. Because we stayed in constant contact, we were constantly looking at those numbers. We
didn't take vacations.
We didn't take vacations. We, made some adjustments to our budget. We were able to do that. I mean, we did. We were able to throw at least 70% of our income at that most months.
Yep.
You can even focus on this for small goals. Building an emergency fund, whatever it is that you have a small goal for, like I need to save up money to do a big Azure standard order. Whatever it is, that's a goal.
That is.
And you don't want to take a full hit on your grocery budget.
Exactly, because, usually when you're doing one of the Azure hauls, you're not, some people do them every month.
Some people do.
But most people do it every few months.
So my plan is to do it in June when the Three Rivers June Pantry Challenge comes along. Because then I have, that money from the grocery budget to use there to restockpile a lot of the things that I need to stockpile. And that's just one of those things to look at. But the most important thing when you are setting goals and you're making plans is to, set a time frame. And your goal here is you want to beat your time frame in most places. You want to pay off your debt faster. So if it's going to take you 10 years to pay off your debt, you're shooting for 8 years, 7 years. If you're wanting to build that emergency fund by the end of the year and, 12 months, shoot for 9 months.
Yep.
So you're going to hope to beat your goal by December. But if you can meet it by September, man, you're doing amazing.
Yep.
But you could also miss it.
You could. Things happen.
Things happen. Washing machine goes out.
Heat pump goes out.
your water pump goes out on your well,
Yep.
you have to pay that because of what? Your insurance doesn't cover it because of some really rare thing. They can't tell you if it's because the pump is really old or the
The lightning hit it.
Yep.
Yep.
So all of those
Experience
things. These are just really important, but you want to make sure it's a date. I would suggest writing it down, having it somewhere, but because you want it constantly, there. But you also want to be in agreement with your partner.
Right. And one of the things we're trying to do now is we're trying to build that into our Notion dashboard, is having our goals in front of us at all times to be able to look at to see if we're on track for those.
Our yearly goals, our homestead goals, our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals, all of those, because they're going to change.
They will.
They will change. They absolutely will. We've changed what we're going to do out here to our side field in this one area how many times now?
Probably 15, 20.
We keep changing our mind. We've had 3 really big ideas, and your shed. Then we switched to swells, and then we realized no, we're too steep for swells, and then we've switched to hopefully maybe a high tunnel.
A high tunnel, yeah.
But we're not sure if that's what we're going to do. We might see something else that's going to work even better for our homestead. But that's not a goal right now. It's a goal later. So we have those. We'll have dates on them, and we can adjust them as needed. That's the goal here. But being in tune with your partner so you are on the same page is so important.
Right.
I can tell you,
Communication.
We wouldn't be doing this as good if we weren't on the same page. If I were just buying groceries willy-nilly and not looking at how much we were spending, if he were just throwing things in the grocery cart without asking me why, hey, is this in the budget, it wouldn't work.
And I will say, I've gotten worse about, if it ain't on sale, we ain't buying it.
Yes.
Since everything has went up, I'm like, no, we don't need it.
He is more on the, if it's on sale, I want the old sale price.
Yeah.
So we're trying to compromise and find a balance. The last thing, we have talked about this so many times, but this is the key to success. It's going to help you so much, because it's going to help you learn to live below your means, learn below what you're bringing in, and also learn just, kind of puts the guardrails up for you.
It does, and that's your budget.
It's your budget. You got to build a budget.
You've got to have a budget.
And you have to touch it. You have to put the information into it.
I mean, if you're one of the people that's going to have trouble sitting down and doing it in Excel,
an app.
There are apps out there. Now, we don't use those because we're frugal.
We don't need it.
We're going to use Excel spreadsheets.
That's Aaron's. That's his thing. I would probably lean more towards the app personally if it were just me. If I hadn't been trained to use the Excel spreadsheet at this point when we first started, but he's always done the spreadsheet, and it's always worked really well for him.
Right.
But he has an accounting background.
Right.
So that's the difference. So, and a lot of people, they might get really frustrated with that. That's okay.
Yep.
That is perfectly fine. But there are tools out there that will help you.
Yes.
You have to actually use them, and some of them are free.
Some of them are. There are, some things people's created. Or people's even got Excel sheets they've created that you can download and stuff like that. For a small price. But there's like free versions of some apps that might not get you the in-depth detail you want, but it'll at least get probably your expenses and your income in,
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that we would always say, a budget really is the key to helping you learn to live below your means, because it's going to show you where your big flags are. It's going to show you where you're overspending, where you might be underspending, where you might need to have sinking funds, because that's why we say to look at more than just 3 months of expenses, because if you're paying your insurances annually and all these things, you might actually forget to put those into your budget.
Right. Or, a good example, car repairs. Okay, might only get a car repair or something done to it every, few months. Was that in that time you look back? You got to think of those weird things that might not hit on a regular month.
Yeah, so that's why 1 month will get you a good idea of what you're looking at. But for us, because of how we are wired and how our mindsets work, we're process and system-based people. We want as much detail and data as we can get. We would look further back.
Right. And we revise our budget every December going into the next year.
If not throughout the year.
Right.
If we see a problem during the year, we have revised it during the year. That is absolutely on the table. Like, I don't think we're spending enough here, or I think we might have this one too padded. Maybe we bring it down, or maybe we just remove this in general. So that is a thing for us. And that's where you're constantly working that budget and figuring it out. Now, we don't change our budget like those numbers every single month. We kind of know what they are. They're sort of set for us and static for the most part. But we also really use sinking funds very heavily.
To prepare, for like insurance, car insurance, house insurance, those type of things. Hey, I know how much it costs per year. Well, each month we're going to put back that amount into the sinking fund. So when it comes time, we have that money available.
Absolutely. And like I say, it's one of the best things that we've done. But that's all because we budget. If we didn't have the budget, we didn't have the guardrails, we wouldn't have any idea where our money was going.
Right.
And that's the goal. You have to, if you haven't noticed, there's a theme here. The theme is knowledge.
It is.
And knowledge is so underestimated as a tool. And when you have knowledge on what your finances are, what your financial journey looks like, you can start to make really good decisions for you and your family. You might not be in the best place right now. That's okay. That is okay. We weren't in the best place where we wanted to be 3 or 4 years ago. And that was okay. But we worked to get to where we are now.
Yeah. I mean, even farther back than that, it takes a lot of work.
It does.
And patience.
Yes. A lot of patience, a lot of readjusting, a lot of learning where things work and where things don't. And we've talked about that through our journey, and maybe we'll go more in depth to that, what really has worked for us and what really hasn't. Where it gets harder for us is a lot of people aren't as detailed oriented as we are.
Right.
They like that just a very simple upfront, which is why if that's the way I would always suggest you go with a budgeting app. Find the one that works for you. There's lots of really good tools out there with reviews that you could see. We watched the Money Guy show. They had one that was really good of a couple of different reviews of tools out there, and also doing cost analysis and all that, and I thought that was really helpful.
Right. It was probably one of the best ones I've seen on all the different apps.
In depth. It was very in depth. On each of these tools.
But we weren't going to buy them.
We weren't going to buy them. I was just curious. Because knowledge is the key. Like, I might not use them, but we might have viewers who really need these.
Right, exactly.
And that's the goal. We want to give you information or tools that you can go out, grab, and use yourself.
Yep.
That's absolutely the most important thing.
Well, if you got any comments, you can leave those down below or send them to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. Make sure to go over and check out our link tree. It's got links to all of our other social media sites we're on. If there's one that you want us to be on and we're not there, leave that down below in the comments as well.
And we would love to hear what you think is the most important tip for your financial journey, how you keep, in line and in touch. And as always, thank you for joining us on The Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.